Okay, I'll speak. I know some of you who are at my graduation are like, yes, he's going to speak, but it's okay. They want me to come up here. It says they're supposed to share some wisdom with you guys. I don't have too much of that, so I'm going to share with you some things I learned in scouting that really meant a lot. As Mr. Abercrombie said, camping was my least favorite thing, by far. My least favorite thing, but I was asked one time, I said, they knew that camping was my least favorite thing, and they asked me how I would feel if scouting became an organization that didn't have any camping at all. Not that it would actually happen, but they were saying, in my opinion, since I don't like camping, what would it be like? And as I really thought about it, camping, even though I didn't like it, I wouldn't have known I didn't like it, for one, if I didn't go camping. But two, there were a lot of things you learn on campouts, like, because you have to go and you have to cook your own food, and sometimes you find out you're not a great cook, and you got to sleep out in the woods, and you got to deal with bugs and animals and stuff, which some people like, but I don't. And as a kid, it's great because you're like, okay, I get to go hang out in the woods with my friends and not shower and eat junk food and do whatever I want. But as you get older, not really older, but like 15, 16, 17, you're like, well, okay, I don't like, being dirty and nasty as much anymore. So, but I wasn't a big fan of camping, but it did teach me a lot. Okay, on different campouts, I did learn a lot, and that was good. And then with my Eagle Scout, as they said, in Walker fashion, it was very last minute. Even the border review was, I was pushing it. I was testing. I was going to see how close I could get to the line. No, not really. I'm just lazy. But it was with the project itself. Honestly, I didn't think I would get it when I was 17 or 16, and I was still first class. I was like, "There's no way this isn't going to happen." And but Mr. Abercrombie and my dad really pushed me through and helped me get what I needed to get through, and that was good. And one thing that with my project that my dad would always tell me is, after a while, I think there were two reasons for it, but after a while he stopped, fussing at me about it, like, hey, go do it, because he says, and I like this reason, but he says that the reason is so that if I get it, if I were to succeed and do it, I would know that it was an accomplishment of mine, that I wasn't dragged by my arm through scouts. Like, okay, and then later when I'm like, 80 or whatever, I'm not like, oh, I wish I'd done that by myself, rather than just sort of doing the bare minimum of being dragged through it. The other reason, of course, might have just been that he was like, okay, I give up, he's not going to do it, so I'm going to stop fussing. But my project itself, I'm not sure if it was said or not, was to build a basketball court. Not the court itself, but I had the concrete, but other than that, I had to get some paint and a hoop, a new basketball hoop. And it was some things I'd never done before, like I'd never poured concrete before, and I'd never painted a basketball court before, or lines on a basketball court before. Basically, the only association I'd had with basketball was playing basketball. I really had nothing to do with the building of it at all. But I thank God a lot for that, because when I went and got this approved, let's see, my birthday is in April, mid-April, and I got it approved in late January, February, got it approved, and I still had to do the project. I had 1 month to get everything done, and I just thought, oh, there's no way, but through connections and people giving me money and not having to do fundraisers, God really put it together. He threw everything together for me and gave me everything I needed to get it done. Gave me a huge family, so I didn't have to go find workers. I just called them up. I'm like, hey, there's 11 of you. This will make quick work, But it was. I was glad with the project that I did. Two, that I am very happy that I have finished it and did succeed in getting Eagle Scout. Let's see. Boy Scouts, for anybody who doesn't know, takes a really long time. if you include Cub Scouts. Boy Scouts takes as long as your schooling does. If you start at the beginning and go till you're 18, which is what I did. I started as a Tiger Cub, is what they call it, at 6 years old, and I got my eagle at basically 18. And it takes as long as schooling does, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's not, sometimes you don't find it quite as important as schooling because it's not something you have to do. It's something that you're choosing to do. And I think from that aspect, anybody, Matthew, Jonathan, Michael, anybody who's gotten the Eagle Scout rank will tell you that, Todd, will tell you that it's something that you got it because it's something you decided you wanted to get. It's not like school where it's like, okay, I can go through school and it'll have like a big effect on my life. If I get a high school degree, that'll really help me out a lot. And Eagle Scout will help too, but that's not the reason you get it. You don't get Eagle Scout so you're like, okay, now I can get a good job because I got Eagle Scout. But so it's one of those things where when you do it, you're doing it because it's something you want to do, or that somebody made you do to begin with, and then you decided you wanted to do. But I was very fortunate to have two older brothers that had Eagle, and I got to see what it was like for them to have their Eagle Scout ceremony and everything like that, and to have a dad that was like, look, because you can ask my parents, 13, 14, 15, it was like, I want to quit, I'm done, this is boring. I don't like camping, and they go camping all the time, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this, and I really wanted to quit, but they'd be like, okay, if you're not in Scouts, you got to do something else productive. I'm like, man, now I'm going to stay in Scouts. And it might have been because I was like, I don't want to do anything else productive, or it might have just been because I was even too lazy to quit, but it was one of those things where it helped to have somebody that was pushing me, but not dragging me. Where they were giving me that little like, okay, you can keep going. This isn't that hard. But they're not like, okay, dude, get up, let's go. We're gonna do it. We're gonna drag you, and you're gonna go camping. And it doesn't matter if you get really, really sick. You're gonna and things like that. Like, it was good to have that. It was good to have people pushing you, not pulling you. And but yeah, so I'm very happy that I have finished this and have achieved this, and I know my dad's very, very pleased to have me finish it, because if I didn't do it, I'd be like the family failure. It's like, the girls can't do it. And even Michael, it has it. It's like, I'd be like, man, why didn't I do it? And then, they could go for like, oh, let's go have an Eagle Scout picture, and I'd just be like, man, and it'd be really like, I don't know, it'd just be kind of depressing after a while. But it was good. It was Scouts is a good thing. I haven't yet, but I will encourage people to do scouting. Not many people know about it. I know when we were getting ready for this, people were like, oh, scouting's still around? People still do that? And you're like, yeah, of course they still do it. I wouldn't be buying Eagle Scouts if they didn't still do it. And but yeah, so it's not a huge it is a huge organization, but it's not necessarily as well known as it could be. And so I know that for me, it'll be good to be able to help the other kids in our troop as they are coming up through with whatever free time I have. And I know that my parents are really happy that I got it, that it's pleasing to them. And to see all their children succeed. I know that's what they want. And in Boy Scouts, because it's something that a lot of kids don't make it to Eagle Scout. It's not a very high completion rate. And so far, Dad, you're 100%. So not so far. You're 100%. There aren't any more.